Nights have drawn darker, the clocks have gone back, and I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, that winter has officially arrived. But it's not all bad news, as this is one of the best times of year for stargazing. Here, with a comprehensive guide to the skies of winter 2012, and to tell us about everything from moons to meteors and much, much more, please welcome from Stargazing Live, astronomer Mark Thompson. So, why is winter better than any other time of year of stargazing?
Well, winter, of course, is cold, and cold air doesn't hold as much moisture as warm air does, so consequently the sky has less moisture in it and it appears clearer.
Oh, so the sky's
there's a lot more clarity in the sky, and you get clearer pictures.
So between now, you know, late October and December, what are the next couple of months going to hold for us? What can we see?
Well, we've got a meteor shower. There's an incredible meteor shower called the Leonid shower. Of course, meteors are those streaks of light, you've heard them called shooting stars,
yes,
which streak across the sky. They're actually pieces of rock that are falling through the sky. There's a sample of one that came from...
Is this a meteorite?
That's a meteorite. You feel the weight of that.
It's like lead.
Chuck it in the audience, see if someone can catch it.
Take you out,
madam,
panicked there,
didn't they? They panicked.
Listen, just... I mean, you get some idea of the weight of that. It's not just like a rock, it's like lead.
It's actually a piece of metal. It's a mixture of iron and nickel all mixed up. If you cut it in half, it would just be a sheen of metal inside it. So it's a piece of metal that falls together. And they travel between 60 and 70 kilometres per second.
You want to get in the way of one,
you don't want to get in the way of that. So we've got the Leonid shower, and that peaks around the 16th and 17th of November.
Does it pose any danger to us?
No, not really. I mean, we see these meteor showers, about 20 each year.
Yeah.
And this is just one of many that we see. So there's no real danger. Most of them burn up in the atmosphere and they're called meteors. If they land, then they're called meteorites.
Of course they are. We all knew that, didn't we?
Yes, of course you did.
I won't ask why. Well, why? Why is it meteorite if it lands? Is it
I
lost
have absolutely no idea.
I'm so glad.
That's a corking question. I'll find out for next time.
So, visible planets then at this time of year?
So, we've got the meteor shower. We can see some great planets this time of year. If you're up early enough, and we're talking sort of 4 o'clock in the morning, yes, you can see Venus stunningly bright in the east just before sunrise.
I don't have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to see Venus stunningly bright. I've got Mrs T at 8.
That'll get a few brainy points, won't it?
Yeah, just clawing back, you know. So that's Venus.
So that's Venus. You can also see... This is actually a picture of Venus taken with a spacecraft that can peer through the clouds of Venus. It's so bright because it's covered in cloud.
And she's often the brightest star in the sky, isn't it, Venus?
Yes, she is, yeah. Absolutely. It's because she is covered in cloud that it's very reflective.
Right.
So we see it as a really, really bright object in the sky. You can see Jupiter in the morning sky as well, but if you stay up, you know, if you're around after sunset in the west, then you can see Mars and Saturn. And they're both perfectly easy to see with the naked eye. You don't need equipment to see them. They'll look like bright stars just setting after the sun in the west. Yeah.
Now, what about this whole... you know, some nights you get that moon and it comes up vast and orange, and it's like something out of E.T., you know, when he went past on his bicycle. And you try and take a photograph of it, and it's quite small. Why does it look so big? It's
a trick of the eye. It's called a Ponzo illusion. I think we've got a picture which quite nicely demonstrates it. It's the way that the brain interprets distance. So you can see the elephants on that street. Of course, we perceive that street is heading further and further away from us. We think it's got distance to it. So try and work with me on this, follow me on this. So the brain or the eye sees those elephants as identical sizes, because they are. Those elephants are all identical sizes.
No, the top one's bigger.
They're all the same. The trick is that the brain says if the one at the back is appearing the same size, it must be bigger.
Because it's
further away.
Oh,
if you measure them, the one at the back is exactly the same size as the one at the front.
Good heavens above.
And it's a really bizarre trick of the eye. And that's exactly the same reason we see the moon low down on the horizon. We think it's a long way away. So that's why it appears to be a bit bigger.
I'm always enamoured of your bits of kit and gizmo that you bring along.
Many people have said that.
Behave. So, to watch, you know, something like this rather than just a pair of binoculars.
So, absolutely, I mean, if you want to see the planets, we talked about Saturn particularly, you need a magnification of at least 20 times, maybe 30 times, to see the rings of Saturn. And that's not a lot for a telescope to magnify. So we've got a couple of fairly basic beginners' telescopes here.
They don't look basic beginners, they look quite elaborate, don't they?
They are, but they're easy to use, and that's the key to it. So they're both reflecting-type telescopes. They've got mirrors at the bottom. That's exactly the same, but just a bigger version of it.
It's like a Dalek.
That one would set you back about £500–600.
Is that all?
Brand new, absolutely.
You'd think something like this would be thousands, wouldn't you? £400 or £500.
And with that, you'll see the rings of Saturn, you'd see the moons around Jupiter, you see the polar ice caps of Mars really clearly. So, you know, there are telescopes out. You don't have to spend a lot of money on them.
That's wonderful. Now, there are lots of apps and gizmos now, aren't there? Because I look at the night, I love looking at stars, and we're out in the country, so it's not too bad, there's not too much ambient light. I'm never quite sure, apart from the Plough and Orion, what I'm looking at, and Venus.
So you're absolutely right. There are loads of little apps that you can get. We've got a couple loaded up on this device here. This one is my favourite one. It's called Star Walk. And what you can do with it, hopefully that'll pop up on the screen in a little while, is basically you wave it around the sky and it shows you what you can see in that. So in that direction,
it will label
is the sun, and it tells you where they are. So even if you can't find them.
So even in the building now, this is what's outside that wall of the studio.
So in that direction is the sun.
And Mercury is to the right of it. Look, this is fascinating. You get the shapes of these constellations that they always used to draw.
And you can even see what's visible straight below your feet.
So that's what's down south?
That's down south if you're in Australia.
That's what, oh, look, over the way. That's what they're looking at right now.
You can make you feel homesick.
Amazing.
So we've got a couple others as well. There's another really quite sweet one which allows you to zoom around the solar system. It's got upside down. That's for the Australians amongst us.
That's
beautiful, isn't it? So when this fires up, it takes a few seconds, but it allows you to zoom around the solar system and almost get an astronaut's view of where we are. So you can zoom in and you can fly around.
Look at that. And it's always nice to know what you look at. Oh, steady. I'm getting dizzy now. The gravity's going.
So there's loads of different apps that you can get. Another one which I quite like, just if I can just show you this one as well, is called Go Satwatch. These are all, not too many pounds, but this shows you where the satellites are in the sky, so you can watch as the satellites move around the sky. At the moment, of course, the sun's up, so you can't see any stars on there.
There's one coming this way.
It's gone over your face. And you can even see the space station flying across as well. So it shows you all that stuff.
You see, when you know what you're looking at, it's that much more interesting. My thanks to Mark Thompson. Thank you.
Pleasure. Cheers.